When Harry's Wife Met HG, Part 4. Hello, I'm HG Tudor, and with a little break to enable you to savour what you have learned so far, and also to heighten your anticipation as to what happened next, we now continue as I recall the first occasion on which I met Harry's wife, although, of course, back then, that was not who she actually was. She had not become that person. Ensure you are sitting comfortably. All distractions nullified? Good. Then we shall continue. Susanna had sought to re-engage my interest in the American actress by sending a message explaining that she had something to ask me in relation to the actress. This meant that she wanted something from me, something in relation to an individual who held no interest to me. Even though I had not yet accessed the yellow flag information, all I saw was an average-looking actress who I had not heard of before. She was now in my fuel matrix, of course, because we had had an interaction. But did I see any additional need to utilize this particular appliance? I had plenty of other actresses in my fuel matrix, better looking, more well-known, and crucially, more interesting. Therefore, utilizing another actress, especially where a demand was being placed on me, was of little attraction. Naturally, I recognized that Susanna was seeking to harness my curiosity, but that was only going to work if I was curious about the actress. And there, Susanna had a problem. I was not curious. I found her false flattery irritating, and her delivery when she spoke was exaggerated. I have no issue with American accents, but the vocal fry she utilized was ridiculous with regard to a woman of her age. The worst aspect, however, was that she was clearly very boring. Her delivery, done with enthusiasm about suits, would send a glass eye to sleep. She spoke about the program as a cultural phenomenon, which it patently wasn't because, 1, I had not heard of it, and 2, the viewing data that I had accessed did not support such an assertion. Her preoccupation with saying "like" as she talked about the clothing used on the show had me yearning to take a fork to jab into her leg just to shut up the stream of banal observations that spewed from her flapping mouth. While she spoke, I noted Sophie played with her drink, clearly as bored as I was, and I was tempted to place an exploratory hand on Sophie's toned left thigh under the table, not only to provide a reaction from her, but to create a diversion from the stream of phrases that the actress pumped out, such as, "It's my education of designers," and "They really know what fits my body well," and "My personal style is reflected in what Rachel wears." I found this last observation ridiculous, as earlier in the monologue she explained that her style was relaxed California girl, jeans, cut off, and flip-flops. I noticed that she was prone to contradicting herself. Ordinarily, I would have revelled in interrupting her and pointing out the contradictions, but I allowed my mind to focus elsewhere of parts of its triple tracking. I could still hear her as she spoke, but I was contemplating whether I should seduce Sophie, or continue my evening with the section of friends who remained on the other side of the room. It was apparent to me that the American actress was one of my kind, albeit of an inferior variety, from the various indicators which had accumulated in the space of our interaction. The various micro-responses supported that initial appraisal. Some of my kind proved useful, but I could find no immediate use for the actress, and therefore Susanna's request that I return would only bear weight with regard to its use within the relationship between Susanna and I. I decided that I would return to their table, as there was something that needed to be done. But first, I needed to make a short telephone call, which I undertook from the lobby. The call was executed successfully, and I then rose from my seat and headed back into the main bar area. I looked over to the trio. They were still there, drinking. Susanna had her back to me. The actress was giving a kung fu demonstration, or at least that's what her odd hand movements put me in mind of. I watched as I walked, and she reminded me of a Tyrannosaurus Rex, arms not quite fully extended as she assaulted the air in front of her, as with mouth wide open, she moved back and forth, left to right, almost as if she was roaring at Sophie and Susanna. The white teeth glinted in the light as her eyes flashed and stared. She looked manic. Sophie smiled in return, but it was a smile of politeness, as I could see from her posture and demeanour that she would rather have had dinner with Tin Henman, dull wraith that he is, and a titan of tedium. I arrived where my friends were sat. "Delightful as always to see you all. I have to be about other matters now," I explained, as I looked at each one of the group, and was met with smiles and nods of understanding. With this particular group, we reserve that area of the bar every night, and whoever in our group, which is roughly around 30 people, turns up. Therefore, one doesn't necessarily know precisely who will be there, which adds to an interesting and entertaining experience, because that's the nature of the group. It was necessary, however, for me to bid farewell to the members of my friendship group, because it's all part of the appropriate facade. I turned away, with various goodbyes and see you laters drifting after me, and I headed back across the bar. I arrived at the table and stood between the actress and Susanna, directly opposite Sophie across the table. "Ah, you're back. Good, we need another bottle," announced Susanna, gesticulating towards an upside-down bottle of Moët in the ice bucket. "Oh, you'll have to expense the next one, my dear. Sophie and I have a dinner arrangement," I explained. I turned and fixed my eyes on Sophie, giving her a wide and inviting smile. "Shall we?" I announced. She started slightly, as if breaking from a trance. "Oh, yes, is it time already?" she asked as she reached for her bag. "You didn't say you were having dinner with HG," protested Susanna. "Oh," I interrupted. "I told her to keep it to herself, as I knew you'd get all jealous of me." I grinned at Susanna, but I wanted to see the actress's reaction. I turned my head and saw that she looked startled, as if something wasn't computing correctly for her. Sophie hurriedly rose from her seat, clearly delighted to be thrown this lifeline to escape the catatonia-inducing self-absorption of the actress. "I know. Why don't we all go for dinner?" suggested Susanna. "There's more to talk about," she said pointedly. "What a marvellous idea," I replied. Sophie halted in her step, as if to say, "Oh no." The actress plastered the Richter's grin across her face, as I let the sentiment hang in the air. "But I've only a table for two, and they had to squeeze me in as a personal favour. Maybe next time," I offered, delighting in the crestfallen look which then swept the actress's face. Sophie moved around beside me, and I leant towards Susanna. "No, don't get up," I insisted, and reinforced this with a hand on her arm. I kissed her goodbye and said, "I'll call you about the other thing." She nodded in understanding. She knew these days when not to push it. I swiveled around to find the actress already risen and advancing to kiss me goodbye. I shot out a hand as I stepped to one side. She halted awkwardly, irritation sweeping her face as she took my offered hand. "Nice to have met you," I said politely. My use of nice, a word I detest, sent its own message. "All the best with sweets," I added, as I removed my hand. Yes, you too. It suits," she corrected. But it was too late, as I had taken Sophie's arm and was directing her towards the exit. "Thank you for saving me from that," she said gratefully. "Oh, my pleasure," I replied. "You know me, always saving someone," I added, as we walked away.